Okay, so this is a mini practice test for Reading 2 Unit 4 to help us prepare for our Unit 4 test this week. So in this mini practice test, we will practice the main idea check and closer look questions, and as well as finding supporting ideas and making sure we understand how to find contrasts. So, let's begin by reading the paragraph together. This paragraph is also on Blackboard. Henry Ford's first car was very similar to other cars in the early 1900s. However, he tried to make his cars more cheaply. Ford's ideas about making cars were unique. First, Ford did not design his cars for rich people. Instead, he wanted average people to own cars. To make his cars less expensive, he found a new way to make cars. Other car designers made cars one by one. A few workers did all the work to finish one car before they started work on the next car. At Ford's company, on the other hand, the cars moved down a line past workers. Each worker completed one part of a car as it moved down the line. In this way, Ford made cars more quickly and sold them for less money. Ford also cared about his workers. Although other car makers paid their workers less than $3 a day, Ford paid his workers $5 a day. He even started an English language school for his workers. Ford sold a lot of cars and became very rich. But he never forgot the people who made the cars. So, let's analyze these questions a little bit, and we will look a little bit more. So which sentence first best describes the main idea of this paragraph? The main idea of this paragraph. Letter A. Henry Ford's first car was similar to other cars in the early 1900s. This is the first sentence of the paragraph. Sometimes we find the main idea there. So let's see. Ford did not design his cars for rich people. C. Ford's ideas about making cars were unique and successful. Or Ford sold a lot of cars and became very rich. So this sentence is the first sentence of the paragraph. His car was similar to other cars. But does that mean it's the main idea? In this case, no, because the rest of the sentences are not about how his car is similar. In fact, it's more about how his cars are different than how his cars are similar. So it's not really about how his cars are similar, so that cannot be the correct answer. Okay, number B, Ford did not design his cars for rich people. That is also in the paragraph. You can see it here in the paragraph. Ford did not design his cars for rich people. But you see that it says first. First means it is one of the supporting ideas, but it is not the whole paragraph. It is only one supporting idea. So this cannot be the answer. A and B cannot be the answers. Okay, letter C. Henry Ford's ideas about making cars were unique and successful. So his ideas about making cars were unique and successful, or Ford sold a lot of cars and became very rich. So this is also in the reading. Ford had sold a lot of cars and became very rich, but he never forgot the people who made the cars. So this tells us that him selling a lot of cars and becoming rich is not the main idea of the paragraph. We don't see a lot about how he became rich or even how many cars he sold. That is one detail, but it is not the whole main idea. So does this idea make sense? Henry Ford's idea about making cars were unique and successful. In fact, letter C makes a lot of sense because all the supporting ideas show that his ideas were unique, were different, and provided a lot of different ways of doing things. So that's why letter C is correct. Okay, next, number 2. How did Henry Ford make his cars less expensive? So, to make his cars less expensive, he found a new way to make cars. So let's make sure that we know which way to make cars did he find? Okay. Other car designers made cars one by one. So does that mean he made cars one by one? No, that's not correct because that's what other people did. A few workers, and this is a supporting detail. A few workers did all the work before they started on the next one. At Ford's company, on the other hand, so remember, on the other hand compares what other people were doing. Other cars were doing one by one, but his company, the cars moved down a line past workers. So that coincides with B. He made cars on a line. He did not make cars one by one. That was other people. We can see that from the contrast on the other hand. Okay, and he tried to make his cars more cheaply. Well, yes, of course he tried to make his cars more cheaply. But that doesn't mean that doesn't really give a reason why his cars were cheaper. This is basically saying the same thing. Less expensive, more cheaply. So this doesn't really answer the question. Okay, number 3. Henry Ford paid his workers $3 a day. So here we see less than $3 a day. But let's look at the whole sentence. Although other car makers paid their workers less than $3 a day, Ford paid his workers $5 a day. So again, we have a contrast connecting word. Although other people paid $3 a day, Ford paid $5 a day. So this sentence that he paid his workers $3 a day is false. This is the contrast. This is the other side, but his is different. He paid $5 a day. Okay, choose the best answer to complete the sentence. Henry Ford started an English language school for his workers because why? He sold a lot of cars. He became very rich. He cared about his workers, or he didn't want to pay them too much. So here we see he even started an English language school for his workers. Let's see if we can see the reason why. The reason why is Ford also cared about his workers. Okay, so when we actually are going to analyze this part, this is extra credit. It says here is one idea from that paragraph, right? 2 supporting details for this idea. Ford cared about his workers. So, what are the 2 things that support that Ford cared about his workers? There are 2 sentences. Other car makers paid their workers less than $3 a day. He paid his workers $5 a day. So that is one thing that he did. How do we see support that he cared about his workers? He paid his workers more than other companies did. Okay? And the second supporting idea that shows how he cared about his workers is he started an English language school for them. Okay, so this idea, he started an English language school, supports the main idea he cared about his workers. He cared about his workers. He did these 2 things. So why did he start the school? This is like the opposite, because he cared about his workers. Okay. Number 5, Henry Ford was a successful businessman. True or false? Let's look back in the paragraph to find the answer for this one. It says, Ford sold a lot of cars and became very rich. I think that's true. Selling a lot of cars and becoming rich makes him a successful businessman. So that is true. So remember, when we find supporting ideas, we want to put specific details that show that he cared about his workers. So if I say Ford cared about his workers, can I say as a supporting details, he became rich? Does he became rich support the fact that he cared about his workers? No, it really doesn't. Okay, so make sure that the supporting ideas are connected. Can we say he never forgot the people who made the cars? Let's try it. He cared about his workers. He never forgot the workers. Does this really support the idea he cared about his workers? He never forgot them. This is basically just repeating the main idea again. He never forgot them. He cared about them. Are very similar in meaning. But these 2 details are more specific. He cared about them, he never forgot them are both general, but here we need answers that show a specific detail. So these are the two specific details supporting that point. Let's look back at the paragraph. We saw already two things that are being contrasted. Other car makers paid $3, he paid $5. That's although. Okay, let's look at a few other, also this one, that other car designers made cars one by one. On the other hand, in Ford Company, they used a line. Okay, let's look at let's look at three more examples of contrast connecting words just to understand them. Henry Ford's first car was very similar to other cars. However, he tried to make his cars more cheaply. So this is a contrast between the car was similar but cheaper. So it's similar, but it's also cheaper. So it's the same, but also different because it's cheaper. Okay. Another contrast connecting word is instead. What does instead mean? Instead means who did he design for? He did not design for rich people. He wanted average people. So the contrast is between rich people who can buy a car and average, normal people who can buy a car. Okay, then finally, in the end, we have but. Okay, he sold a lot of cars. He became very rich. The contrast, he never forgot the people. So sometimes when people become rich, they stop paying attention to the people who helped them, but he never did that, according to this reading. So I hope this helps you see some of the main things that will be on the test. One thing that will be on the test is definitely the main idea, and you know that in the test there will be several paragraphs, like 3 paragraphs, and you have to match the main idea to the paragraph number. We always have some true and false questions and multiple choice questions where we need to read very carefully and look at the contrasts connecting words especially. And then we also will have sentences where we have to find the supporting details. And I talked about how the first statement is general, and even in this example, the concluding statement was general, and we were looking for specific, not general, supporting details. So I hope this helps you prepare for the test. I think you're going to do a great job. And another way to prepare for the test would also be to work on your go through the activities from the book and practice those again as well. Thank you, everybody, and good luck on your test.